Okay, it's time for my final guest of today's show, and on the midweek laid back late night show, I've got a familiar name across all media platforms, broadcaster. Just want to say welcome to the show, Harry Wallop. Nice to have you with me today.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Great. I believe we're going to talk about productivity today, working from home, and
Yeah,
yeah, sorry. I just wanted to kick off with a few statistics. I know you've done some research about working from home. Um, are people enjoying working from home, juggling their personal and domestic lives? Are they becoming acclimatized to this kind of new normal? And can people get used to it in a way?
yeah. This is a survey by Zeiss Vision Care, and what's fascinating is it found that hardly anyone wants to return to the old way of doing things. 87% of people said that they either want to work full time from home in the future, or at least a couple of days a week from home, which really surprised me because I would have thought that after a year of lockdown, more or less permanently, people were fed up. And even if they didn't really like their colleagues, they might want to at least, get a change of scene, see
Yeah.
a few new faces.
And I guess everyone's in the same boat. I did ask my sister actually prior to the interview. I says, "Aren't you dying to get back to work?" And she says, "Yes." She kind of missing, the interaction with people, the physical element of being in that workplace. And yeah, I wanted to add on as well. Are we seeing people multitasking from home as well, kind of juggling their personal lives, with their family and the kids, amongst other things?
Yes, so obviously there are some huge advantages of from working from home. Not having to commute, saving all that time, and saving some of the cost as well, and seeing more of families and everything. But what's fascinating is that a lot of people say that they're really enjoying that sort of flexibility of using that time to spend, to multitask, as it were,
Yeah,
so to juggle home life and family life. So Zeiss found that 68% of people said that they are achieving more. They reckon they're
yeah,
achieving more by being doing their work at home, and even if it's as simple as putting on a load of laundry while you're on a work call, or doing the cleaning,
yeah.
while you're chatting to someone in the office. So I can see that is a huge advantage to some people.
Yeah,
Obviously, not to everyone.
yeah, that's really interesting. It's like a fine line because I know when people go to work, to get dressed in the morning, that kind of gives you it kind of gives you the drive to be set up for the day, doesn't it? Rather than people working from home, stuck in their kind of, pajamas all day. You know, going to work, that gives you the drive to get out to work.
Yeah, no, I worked from home before for a good couple of years before lockdown, and I always got dressed in the morning.
Yeah,
Even in an emergency, I find it very weird having to send an email while wearing pajamas. I'm not sure why. It's purely psychological.
yeah,
Yeah, what's interesting is that it's actually from this Zeiss survey that it's young people who actually want to go back to the office more than older people. So people, 25-year-olds, I presume often stuck in a flat share, house share, without the luxury of a spare room, to do their working from home. They're the most keen to go back to an office, and probably, some of the social interaction as well. Whereas it's people aged 45 or over, they're the ones who are keenest to carry on working full time from home. They have the luxury of space and probably a secure job, and maybe they, kids bit older, quite enjoyable to spend time with them.
thank you for explaining that as well. And I did want to touch on multitasking as well. I put in my notes here: killing more than two birds with one stone. Multitasking. Is there an art to multitasking, doing more than one thing at once?
Well, if there is an art, I'm not sure I've mastered it. It's the ability to concentrate at two things at once, and I do struggle to do that. I mean, there was the survey suggested lots of people found they were making mistakes while multitasking, and there was one that 4 in 10 said that they often forgot what they were going to be saying, which I found a real. I think it was lockdown brain actually.
Yeah.
When you just suddenly you're halfway through a sentence, you think, what was I saying? I thought it was getting old, but I think lockdown brain has caused all sorts of people to get muddled. So is there an art? Well, the art is being able, I think, to flick between doing one thing and another somehow simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's the whole double screen mentality, which I've never been able
Yeah.
to do. I can't send an email while watching a quiz show
Yeah.
on TV, which I tried to do last night. Some people have it, some people
Yeah.
don't. I'm not sure there's a particularly good way of practicing to get better at it.
Yeah.
It has to be said.
And men have always kind of had stick with multitasking, but they're becoming better at it, so they say. Coming into the 21st century, 55% of men believe they find multitasking easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is they say they find multitasking easy. 55% of men in this size survey. Are they really doing a good job? I don't know. I mean, men claim they're doing equal share of the cooking, an equal share of homeschooling and parenting. They do admit that the female in their life or their other half is doing more housework. But yeah, I think it's just men have the confidence to say they've nailed multitasking in a way that a lot of women would be happier to admit that it's difficult.
Yeah,
trying to homeschool while on a work call is a really difficult thing to do.
Sure. I'm going to combine the two now. So you mentioned working from home, multitasking. So on the angle where I'm saying people are working from home, they're having to use a lot of Zoom meetings, video calls. So when they're on these video calls, they might get distracted and they're trying to multitask. What are the big no-nos when people are, say, on a Zoom meeting, working from home?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Zoom. There's all sorts of meetings I now have, or work calls that used to be on a telephone are now on Zoom. It's like, why? I mean, I don't want to work at home in my pajamas, but equally, I do occasionally want to look a bit scruffy, or not have shaved, or or be having a large, be at a large coffee, a messy desk. I don't want people to see my messy desk. Anyway, I think the key thing is to try and keep focused on that Zoom call, because we do know from this Zeiss survey that a lot of people try and also answer emails at the same time. Be on social media. I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, people try to do that in the office as well. But on a Zoom call, you can get found out when it's clear that you're kind of in the virtual room, but not really focusing.
Just got a couple more statistic here, touching on 40% have been caught out and have lost their train of thought while being distracted on one of these calls, working from home, and so on.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is what we touched on earlier about lockdown brain and not knowing what you were going to say. And of course, the problem is with multiple screens now, because a lot of people, it's not just that they've got their laptop or their computer. They often have a second screen, because if their job involves being on Zoom calls all day, they tend to use one screen for those and then another screen for, see my presentation or whatever. And then you've also got your phone as well. So a lot of people are getting tired eyes. That's a real complaint.
Yeah.
More people complained about tired eyes than about a bad back or a sore neck from working from home, which is interesting, because I thought it would be, the bad back would be the biggest complaint, but it's not. It's sore eyes.
Yes, I suppose, like what you say, when you're having all these screens, there's a lot going on. The brain is, of course, one of the greatest instruments of the human body, but the eyes as well. They do play a part, an integral part, and being exposed to too much screen time. How often should one take a break from the PC?
Well, the opticians recommend it should be every 20 minutes. You should look away from a screen for at least 20 seconds, and ideally look into the distance. There's this thing called 20-20-20. Every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break. Look 20 feet into the distance is the thing they recommend. But yeah, it's not just about getting stuck in a chair and walking around a room. It's, the worst thing you can do, which is what I do, which is really bad, is to take a break from your work. You think, brilliant, I'll go make myself a cup of coffee. And then while the kettle's boiling, you're on a phone scrolling through Twitter. So, That's no good
Yeah.
because you've given your legs a break or your back a break, but you haven't given your eyes a break.
Yeah, and I know you did mention some of the ailments people have, while sit at a computer. Survey says a number of people complaining about stress on their shoulders, necks, maybe repetitive strain injury, and being hunchback as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, laptops are lethal. They're just not designed. Obviously, they're a lifesaver if you're working, if you're traveling, which none of us can do anymore. But traveling on a train or hotel room, obviously, laptops are a lifesaver. But they're terrible to work permanently from because they're just not at the right angle. You will either be hunched over them, and also the keyboard's all wrong. So one of the best bits of kit you can, I mean, it costs money, obviously, is that get yourself a separate keyboard and then raise your laptop. Your screen should be at eye level. You shouldn't be looking down at your screen. So that's really important.
Well, Harry Wallop, thank you very much for joining me today on the Danny Sun Syndicated show on the midweek late back night show. I've learnt a thing or two, and I'm sure my listeners have as well. And thank you very much for taking time out and accepting my invitation to be on the show today.
Well, thanks very much for having me on, Danny.
Thank you very much.